Well, I think we're live on YouTube and on Twitter, but LinkedIn
It says
seems to be creating a problem.
okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, hello, Twitter and YouTube. It's Dave Barnett from davidcbarnett.com, blog site, YouTube channel, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, podcast, where we talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium-sized businesses. Today, we got Jaryd Krause back. How you doing today, Jaryd?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm envious of the tan. You're obviously seeing more of the sun than I am.
I'm in the water every day. So yeah, it's pretty regular for me to be. Actually, I'm started peeling the other day because I had too
Yeah.
much sun. Yeah.
Well, all right. So in a few weeks' time, we're going to have more sun here. So I'll have to start working on that too.
It's warming up now over there, right?
Well, it's minus 20 today. It's got the flannel on. So, Jaryd, you've been on my show before. In fact, I put down the show notes a link to your 2019 appearance. It was back in June. So, really, almost 2 years ago now since you've last been on my channel. And we were talking about online businesses. Of course, you're the host of Buying Online Businesses podcast. And I invited you here today because you were the guest speaker for this month in the Business Buyer Adventure Group Coaching Program, where we talked at length about how COVID had affected what was going on in the market for these online businesses. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different today because in my broader YouTube audience, I have a lot of people, and I know this through their emails and whatnot, a lot of people who are starting out, who are looking at ways to build up their nest egg, to get the money together, maybe to do a big business deal one day. And I often get asked about the opportunities to kind of do smaller deals. And I thought, one thing that online businesses don't have are business hours, right? Where you have to be open. And so I'm wondering, do you work with a lot of people who end up looking for an opportunity in the online world for some kind of like side hustle that they can get into while they keep their regular 9 to 5?
Yeah, it's what people don't want to do is they want to not work anymore. Most people come to me is like, I'm overworking, like I don't like my job, or I just don't want to trade my time for trade my money, my time for money. Sorry, and so it's a great question. Like a lot of people are wanting to, and this is exactly what I did is buy a business, a smaller business that they can spend 2 to 5 hours a week, maybe 10 hours a week on it. If
Mm-hmm.
they're really, really hungry, they could spend 10 to 20 hours or 10 to 15 or 20 hours a week on it and grow that whilst they're still working. And what I tell people to do, and I just released a YouTube video just this weekend that sort of just highlights why you should not quit your job straight away. Because what happens is when people quit their job, they say, Jaryd, I've quit my job. I'm going to come and work with you and help you, get you to teach me to buy a business. And I say, well, I don't want to work with you because you just quit your job. And what happens with that is you've built up this, even though you might have capital there, you're
Mm-hmm.
still not earning an income. And what happens is we end up building this tension, this stress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, put financial pressure on ourselves because, like, well, we've been sitting here looking for a business. As you know, it takes time, and then you build up this stress and pressure, and you can end up buying a deal that's not a good investment. So I think it's always best for people to buy a business, a small business, whilst they're still working and build that business up to a certain point until it's making more or close enough income to what they're earning from their regular job, and then quit. So
So
it's
when you
easier to
when
do.
you say when you say a small money making website, what typically is an entry point that you see? Is this sometimes something that's just making a few $1,000s every month?
Yeah. So if something's making, say, $1,000 a month, it's making about 12 grand a year. So that site's going to sell for about $36,000. So around 36 to $40,000.
Okay.
So this is where most of my clients start out is around the 40, like 30 to $70,000 price range. And then as they scale, they start to buy bigger businesses, either sell the one they've already got, put their capital and the money they made from the sale into a bigger purchase, or they save whilst they're working as well. So you can get started and cut your teeth on smaller businesses. You can buy something for, say, $15,000 that's making, a couple of $100 a month, But the reason I tell people not to go there if they're wanting to replace their income is because they're just there's a lot of work that goes into building those
Yeah.
up.
So when you talk about somebody buying an online money making website and you talk about them doing work to grow it, what does that look like? What are people doing? Are they trying to find places to get their links to their website? Are they working on like social media accounts related to the website? What types of things are people mostly doing when they're trying to work and build up these online websites?
So this is a great question, and we could talk at length about this. But I like to stick to the ideology that we have principles, we have strategies, and we have tactics. Most people want to learn the tactics, but the tactics change all the time with the environment and how Google changes, whether they want links or what type of links, and how we should write our articles, and what we should be doing with our digital marketing if we own an e-commerce business. So I don't like to teach too much tactical stuff, but I like to teach the principles and the strategy around building an online business once I purchase it. And people that buy an online business, normally they graduate to my mastermind, and we go through the process of strategy and how would you grow this business. And the main thing to think about is not like where people look for the low hanging fruit and the quick wins and all that sort of stuff. If it's a short-term approach or a short-term quick win, I don't like to look at that. What I like to do is I like to make the business far less risky. And how I do that is I look at where there could be single source dependency on traffic or revenue, and then de-risk the business by adding another traffic channel in. And that could be email, that could be Pinterest, that could be another search engine, it could be YouTube, whatever it is. So I look at how to de-risk the business, and often that de-risking strategy ends up being a growth strategy as well and grows the business. So you have not just trying to pull some money quickly out of the business, but you're de-risking the business, which means it's going to be a better long-term investment. And over time, you're still going to have a great growth strategy. So to flick out a few tactical things or strategic is de-risk the business away from single source dependency on traffic and single source dependency on revenue. And that can really help you not just de-risk, but grow the business.
Well, and I think it's great that you presented in that way about how you can think about the source of the traffic to the site being like a single source of sending people over. I mean, this is something that every business has always struggled with back before there was even an internet. If you were getting all of your businesses, all of your referrals, all your leads from one place, and one of the first things people would think of is, well, how do I get other sources, other marketing channels for sending people my way? And I think I said in a YouTube video a couple months ago, I said, there's no such thing as an online business. It's just business. It's just where it happens to be conducted, and so if someone, let's talk a little bit more about this market for online businesses, for these small ones. Do you see a lot of people buying these smaller online properties and the transaction moves them from one country to another?
Yeah. Ian, who is a client, he started our program end of last year, end of 2020, and he bought a business within a few months, and it's making about 2.5 grand a month. And he exited his brick and mortar business. He's like, I want to buy, I've sold a cleaning business. I want to buy an online business so I can travel. And within 2 months of him owning the business, he's in Mexico. And we're doing our coaching calls in Mexico because he's in the mastermind and stuff. So yeah, that's big motivation for people, is like being able to have location independence. Because like you said, like you don't need to sit at your computer for a certain set period of hours per day. You can go, all right, I'm going to be traveling, so I'm going to do a bunch of work whilst I'm traveling and on the plane or whatever it is, and then upload and do things when I get there, and then I can have time to adventure, which is what I did for about a year and a half, or 2 years. I had multiple businesses as I was doing that, so it is a big draw card, that's for sure.
So you described the progression of somebody starting off small, maybe while they keep their job, and then they grow that business and they get into something bigger. I mean, was there a certain point in the last couple of years where suddenly the availability of some of these online businesses started to grow? Because I know from my own experience, it seemed like when the internet started to go, and I think there's two different categories of businesses online. There's your Facebooks and these super mega multi-billion-dollar companies, but then there really are the Main Street businesses online where somebody is online selling some product and they're earning themselves $100,000 a year, and year over year they have some growth, but they're not quadrupling every year. For example, it really is sort of a mom and pop small business. Was there a certain point where the number of these things just started to flourish and created this opportunity for what you're doing now?
Uh, that's a great question, and I don't think
I've
it
been
has
thinking about
been.
questions all day, Jaryd.
I love it. You've got some good ones, that's for sure. And like it's what Tony Robbins says: the quality of your question determines the quality of your life. So good on you. Um, the the market has grown, but it hasn't been like it hasn't gone to like a point and just gone crazy up.
Hmm.
There has been like hockey stick growth in terms of that. It's been pretty steady, and what I've noticed is it's not so much more businesses out there for sale. It's more people wanting to buy these businesses, which is why I mean it's over 20. We talked about this in our when I was in your mastermind. Then it's 2020 had a huge effect on a lot of people in the world that like, well, how am I going to earn income? And most people have the perception, to make money, on my own, I need to start a business. A lot of people are cluing on that's like, wow, I can buy a business.
Hmm.
And that's where a lot of people are like, well, I could just buy a business. And there's the demand for online businesses to purchase has gone up, which has created a lot like people really need to be great buyers and attractive. I call them being an attractive buyer to win over the seller to become the preferred purchaser for that business amongst everybody else that's wanting to purchase it. So that's what I've noticed for sure.
And and so you mentioned 20, like, and we talked about this at length when you were in the adventure group as a guest speaker. But
Mm,
the what changed was with the demand is the multiples for these businesses went up. Now, you've explained to me several times before that often pricing for these online businesses is done as multiples per month. But before 2020, when you translated that into annual multiples, it pretty did match sort of the pricing of regular Main Street businesses. It was just expressed in a different way.
mm.
But I want to talk about that monthly profit because a lot of these businesses are new and they're growing and they're changing quite quickly. What sort of regularity are you looking for when you're looking at these businesses as far as that performance every month? Are people really having these, sort of all over the place haphazard performances and then trying to pick the best one to price their business? Is there any real regularity to a lot of this stuff? Like what do you typically see?
It depends on the business model. It really does. The the businesses that are green and new and under a year or two old, they do have that haphazard massive spikes in income, and they can have it like, they put a lot of work in at the start and they realize, okay, cool, we're making a good income, and they like, slow back their growth strategies, and you can see it dip a little bit. After a certain period of time, a business, being running, is you can start to see the stability level out. I often see with the business models such as like content and media businesses, like content websites, affiliate links, and ads, they're pretty stable. I also see the stability of membership businesses and SaaS websites pretty stable.
Hmm.
E-commerce businesses would be more volatile because ad platforms change quite rapidly in their algorithm and how they put ads in front of people. And also, people aren't the best at budgeting with their ad spend as well, and that can have a few ups and downs, but across the board, we work out an average monthly net profit over 12 months usually, and then we will value the business based off that.
I would imagine with e-commerce sort of product-driven businesses, sort of holidays and everything would play a big impact in the performance of those businesses, just like a retail shop.
Seasonality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what are you expecting for this year? We've got vaccine rollouts, and we've got a lot of people are hopeful for a return to the way that things used to be before the pandemic. Are you seeing any sort of let up in the demand that you're describing starting to kick in, or is the cat out of the bag that this is an opportunity that a lot of people are going to want to pursue?
I think still people in the world are still sort of playing catch up and really realizing that, like, wow, a long period of time that I've had to spend at home or not earn an income, or a long period of time that I've worked from home, right? Like, they may be sent at home to work from home, and they're like, it's been hard with the kids, but once we've worked out a good routine, I can spend more time with my family, and I can work the hours that I want to work. And I think it's just been very attractive that it's just embedded that that willingness and that wantingness within people that have had this happen to them to go, well, how can I do this when they try and force me to go back into the office? Like, how can I work out, how can I have an income stream or work online, and whether it's with this company or not? So I think it's still there. I think the growth of our space isn't slowing down at all. Like, the multiples just keep rising because there's more buyers, and that means that more sellers are like, wow, this is a great time to sell my business. So it's still growing, but it's just not that hockey stick growth.
Now, in a regular business acquisition deal, of course, there's often a business location, and there's paperwork and all kinds of stuff, and due diligence can really get into the weeds where people are seeing a lot of different things, and there's a lot to look at. And one of the things that's always fascinated me about these online businesses is that where everything is kind of in a virtual place, it's all data and electronic files and things like this. In your opinion, does it make due diligence more complicated because there's a greater opportunity somebody could, make stuff up, or you can have some like fraudulent data points of some kind?
I think it's easier because
okay,
the transparency, you can have people that will send screenshots. It's like, this is how much the business is making, and they could edit them and stuff like that. And some brokers will send over a profit and loss statement, which is just an Excel sheet with a bunch of numbers. But if you're a smart buyer, you know what questions to ask, and you know what you need to get access to. So getting viewers access of a business's merchant account is vital. And if you know what to ask for and you know what to look for, you can verify things without too much skin off the previous owner's nose. Is like, if I own a Shopify business, right, and I'm selling a Shopify business to you, you can come to me and say, hey, Jaryd, can I look at, can I get viewers access of your whole business, your Shopify account? And you can look in there and see, like, all right, how many products is he actually selling, and convert and, relay that over to the profit and loss statement, and look at like how many are getting returned. And you can just really get so much data without having to, rip apart somebody's business to get it.
Well, whenever I talk about due diligence, I always talk about third-party data and third-party confirmation. And so that's exactly what you're describing, is because someone else has used, for example, the Shopify tool to build their whole thing. It means that Shopify, who really doesn't have any interest in the deal, I mean, they've got their own thing going on. Well, the data that they are hosting and can show you is, it's like, if somebody's buying a bar and you live in a state or a province where everyone has to buy liquor from the government liquor agency, once you get the purchase record data, now you know what the purchases were, and that information isn't going to be, able to be defrauded or what have you. It comes from that other party. So this has been great. I know you have to run, Jaryd, and I wanted to thank you for making time to come and see us. How can people find you online if they want to listen to more information and hear stories of people who've done the online business acquisition?
Yeah, to hear stories about clients that I've worked with. We've got lots of people that have bought businesses, lots of interviews that I've done of case studies. They're best if we're on YouTube right now, just jump onto YouTube and type in my name or buying online businesses, and I should pop up. And then you can scroll down to the bottom one of the playlists and see the case studies of clients that are doing the stuff, and then test out. If you like what I'm saying and my content, you can check that out. And if you've got questions, then you can just reach out via comments or email me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jaryd.
Thank
It's great
you.
seeing you again.
Yeah, you
Have a
too, David.
have a great night, or I guess a morning there in Australia.
Yeah, enjoy your evening, and I look forward to chatting again soon. I'm sure it'll be soon.
All right. And remember, everyone, if you're interested in buying and selling businesses, then you should be taking the time to get onto my email list. Sign up at davidcbarnettlist.com. I send something out almost every day, and often it's stories of things that I've come across in the day-to-day consulting work that I do with clients out there, just like you guys. So sign up. We'll see you later. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the like button on YouTube, because it really does help the algorithm show the content to other people. Thanks, man.
Thank you.